Hey everyone, this is Swapnil for ThinkDigit.com. Today we have with us the Powershot SX160 IS point and shoot from Canon. This camera comes from a lineage of great performers. The SX series has been one of our favorites, all the way back from SX120 IS, which is a camera I still use to date. And it's got a great balance between the zoom factor, the convenience of manual modes, the dial, and the pricing. It's pretty damn cheap compared to what's out there, and it definitely is a great camera if you want to experiment. At least the SX series is. Now with the SX160 IS, the first thing you notice is that the front is pretty different compared to the SX150 IS and the cameras before that. This takes on a much flatter look as against the more curved body of the 150. This is also flatter, thinner, so it's a lot more pocketable. Moving on from that, the first thing we notice about the camera is that even though it's grey silver in color, it feels pretty plasticky. We are not fond at all of the fact that we can see these two screws on top. It's just inviting trouble. If you're the sort of person who has a penchant for taking things apart, I'm very sure you'll probably end up opening these two screws. Other than that, it feels it's light with the battery. It takes two AA batteries down here along with the memory card slot, and once you pop those in, the camera feels pretty, I wouldn't say very heavy, but it doesn't feel light at all. And by that I mean that it feels sturdy even though it's plastic. Other than that, you have the buttons on the back which are inset. So instead of protruding out of the body, they're slightly indented, which means that you have to go a little further to press them than you would have done with the previous models. Now, which is actually really good because you don't end up accidentally pushing something and screwing up your photograph. There's the usual mode dial, which has scene modes, a live mode, a PASM mode, etc., along with this nifty little button on top, which is very handy. You press that and the flash pops up like this. Press that and the flash pops up. Now the good thing about this is that we do like the mechanical button, because in the previous models, especially the 120 and the 130 IS, you had to manually lift up the flash using a finger. We're not very fond of the silver finish with black tones because frankly the dual tone complexion of this camera makes it look a little tacky, so some people might not like that. There is a black variant and a maroon variant available as well, and if you can get your hand on those, we strongly recommend you do. The shooting with the camera is not at all troublesome. It's pretty comfortable to hold. It's a very well balanced camera. The buttons are easy to access. They're all right here, very well placed, and it's very clear actually what each button does, so you wouldn't have to fumble around. So the camera is pretty light. It fits well. The buttons are very easily placed, but we do have one small problem. The previous models had a much more indented grip than what we have over here, so it sort of just feels like your fingers are lying on a flat surface, but it's not quite flat because of this little sharp rise, and so it's not very comfortable, especially if you're going to be shooting for a long time. For example, if you're at a wedding and you're shooting the proceedings, then after some point the camera might start to slip, especially because this is not rubber, it's sort of metallic plastic. It's very smooth, so if your hands sweat, chances are you might drop the camera unless you're very careful. So other than that, the camera actually gives us good performance in terms of images. It comes from a very good line of great performers, so we would not have expected the performance to go down, but surprisingly the performance between the SX150 and the SX160 IS is very similar. So if you've got that camera with you at home, or if you can find the SX150 IS somewhere in the market, we recommend buying that, saving the extra money and probably investing in rechargeable cells, extra memory cards, and holding off on buying the next model.